Hey everybody. So today I'm going to be telling you about the latest episode of Gotham, which is episode 4, I believe. Accurate episode description or episode number will be on the video here. I'm pretty sure it's episode 4. I almost can swear by it. Um, in this episode, you guys, basically, it's actually kind of an important episode because this episode kind of establishes the early years of Arkham Asylum, basically, when Bruce Wayne was still young. Gotham City, the people of Gotham City and the authorities are very aware that, the crime rate is very, very bad and that, they need a guaranteed lockdown place for the criminally insane, basically. And so, we're seeing the early years of that. And while that's happening, while Arkham Asylum is being open for the first time to the public, and, where inmates and they're actually going to have, people actually behind the cells in this place and things like that. There's a lot of crime still going on. The crime rate, if anything, is worse than it was before Arkham Asylum opened. And so Commissioner Gordon now has to deal with that since, the Gotham show revolves around him. Um, no trace of Selena Kyle. I don't know where she went for this episode. Um, but his partner Harvey, who was not Harvey Dent, for those who are wondering, it's not Harvey Dent. This is a different Harvey. And basically him and Jim Gordon are trying to track down this guy who has like this telescope-looking thing that's connected to Arkham Asylum. And also, Penguin once again has a pretty big role in this episode. He has a bigger, he's basically gained his trust even more now. So with the Maroonies, which is basically a mafia family that competes with the Falcones, who most of you also know is a pretty big part of the show already. And the Falcones have also appeared in the Christopher Nolan Batman films as well. Um, so that was basically today's episode. It was the Arkham Asylum being set up, Jim Gordon dealing with kind of his first big criminal who's connected to Arkham Asylum, and basically the Penguin gaining his trust, moving his way up with the Maroonies, and we'll probably be seeing more of him in future episodes here. So I really enjoyed tonight's episode, you guys. I thought it was very, very well done. Not the best Gotham episode. I think the pilot episode and the Balloon Man episode are probably still my two favorite episodes. But just a really fun episode once again. I do like it better than episode 2, but at the same time, episode 2 wasn't anything special that we've seen so far for the show. So huge thumbs up. Really enjoyed tonight's episode. For my positives and negatives, I loved the great setup that they had for Arkham Asylum. It really got the stage all ready to go for what we might be seeing of Arkham Asylum here later in the show, and how we're going to recognize Arkham Asylum for all the Batman films, all the Batman comics. We're going to see obviously the early years of it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Arkham Asylum years were like before Bruce Wayne even became Batman. I like how the show's having even more and even better villainous characters as this proceeds. Like I said, I really like tonight's episode's character, the guy with the little flute thing that they basically would go through your eyeballs and things like that. Just really threatening character. Really liked him a lot. And I just really like a lot of the villainous characters they're using here, like Balloon Man, and we're seeing the early years of the Riddler, early years of Penguin, early years of Poison Ivy, um, you know, potentially Mad Hatter, a lot of these other characters, early years of Catwoman, all that stuff. Tonight's episode is kind of there's a character that for those who saw tonight's episode who's basically connected with Jada Pinkett Smith's character. She's basically worked her way into this, Fish Maroney, her gang, not connected to the Maronies. Fish Maroney is Jada Pinkett Smith's character. She's kind of her own boss. Doesn't like the Falcones, even though she pretends like she does. And basically, there's a character here who I really think, even if it's not this character, probably another big female Batman villain. I'm thinking this is the early years of Harley Quinn. Because we're seeing already the early years of Joker potentially with Balloon Man and another character that we saw earlier in the show. I'm thinking this character might potentially be a young Harley Quinn. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of go that direction with her later on. And if the Joker is in the show later on, will her and Joker basically team up for something? I like how the show is really adding a lot more crime drama elements now, and that's really cool because the Christopher Nolan Batman films had a lot of crime drama elements. Batman Begins had the Falcones. The Dark Knight basically was a crime drama all over the place, with the Joker and the Maronis and all that stuff. And even the Dark Knight Rises had some crime drama elements as well. So I like how they're really working in the Christopher Nolan-esque vibe of Gotham City into the show. For negatives of this episode, and actually these first two are more so things I would like the show to do more so, hopefully in later episodes. My first one is I would like to see Killer Croc work his way into the show. We don't have a Killer Croc Batman movie yet. He's not a villain yet in a Batman film. But I would like to see him, maybe even the early years of Killer Croc. Maybe they have the name. Maybe he's an experiment of some kind in Arkham Asylum, the early years of it. I just want to see a young Killer Croc, before he became Killer Croc that we know from the TV show and the comics and the animated show and what we might hopefully see in a future Batman film. Um, yeah, just try to work in Killer Croc somewhere. I'd really love to see the guy in the show somewhere. I would like to see the Riddler get more so involved with the show. He's popping up every once in a while. He's definitely more so a good guy right now than the bad guy, even though he's probably working behind the scenes with the bad guys somewhere. But it was cool seeing him once again. We haven't seen him in a few episodes now. So I really hope to see more of the Riddler because it's a really interesting character, and we really only got to see Jim Carrey's interpretation so far in film. And so I really hope they do something cool with the Riddler here. Another negative I had about this episode was there's a really cheesy girl fight scene that happens in one scene. You can tell these actresses aren't used to doing fighting choreography, and the whole thing just played out really stupidly. You can definitely tell they added like some post production sound effects to the scene to make it sound more brutal than it was. And yeah, Fish Maroney, wanted these two girls to fight so she could hire one of them to be in the gang and stuff. And it was just a really cheesy scene. It was already bad enough that she asked them to pretend like she was a man and that they were trying to seduce a man to get the job and things like that. But once the girl fight thing happened, then it really got pushed too far, I thought. So I really would have liked Fish Maroney to make her decision with one of these two girls in a less cheesy way if possible, because what I saw here was a pretty corny way of seeing that play out. So um, another negative I had about tonight's episode is the whole Balloon Man thing got ditched. And that's too bad because, last week's episode was all about the Balloon Man. We had a whole episode dedicated to him. We don't see him pop up at all in this episode. He's not even brought up. So I'm hoping that it's not just a one-time thing, they did for the show. I really want to see this character show up more. And I hope to see him to be revealed as either the Joker or the Mad Hatter. I think one of those two things would have been perfect. Or hopefully it will be perfect if they go that route. So overall, I really like tonight's episode. Like I saw here, like what you saw here, just a few little negatives every once in a while. But overall, really enjoyed tonight's episode. I'm really liking the show so far. So hope to see you guys back here for future episodes of Gotham.